Popular subject, and I'm talking about with adults. With adults. We're going to look at it from the practical and the spiritual. Verse 5 through 13. Hebrews 12, 5 through 13. And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. And you know what scourging is, right? If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? But if ye be without chastisement, wherewith all are partakers, so thank God for it, then ye are bastards and not sons. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? For they verily for a few days chasten us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Wherefore lift up the hands which hang down, and the feeble knees, and make straight paths for your feet, lest that which is lame be turned out of the way, but let it rather be healed. God, as a good father, will chasten and correct us, his adopted children, and it's always for our good and for his glory. Okay, it is never punitive. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. It is never punitive. Punishment that comes out of frustration or anger. And so human fathers are to follow God's example, both in motive as well as in its execution. The following verses from Proverbs address the topic with clarity. Proverbs 19, okay, verse 18 we just read. Go to Proverbs 20, verse 30. Proverbs 20, verse 30. The blueness of a wound cleanseth away evil, so do stripes the inward parts of the belly. Okay. So it's bruising going on there. 22:15. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. And then 23:13 and 14. Withhold not correction from the child, for if thou lovingly hover over him and if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die. I hope they get the idea. Thou shalt beat him with the rod, and shall deliver his soul from hell.
That's what God said.
Don't give them any good ideas.
That's a good idea. Today, here's the thing. Today, to obey and to practice literally, okay, we take the Bible literally. What we've just read can quite possibly put you in jail. Might even cost you your children, and I've known people that have gone through this. And this situation, as with any faithful practice of Christian belief, is only going to get worse with time. Therefore, some Holy Spirit guided wisdom and understanding needs to be exercised when dealing with these things. Okay? The sooner you establish a practice of God's ways in your home and a lifestyle that follows the scriptures, the fewer problems and issues you're likely to encounter. Okay? If you have not broken the willfulness of a child by the time they're 6 years old, just in general, I mean, you're going to have some issues with them in the years to come. Okay, so you need to keep as much of the world's influences out of your child's life as you possibly can. Actively counter it when you cannot. Be wary of children's books, games, particularly screen stuff, toys, and television programming that's advertised as children's programming. You better check it.
Yeah.
Amen.
These are the avenues that the devil is going to use to get at your children. Now, if spanking becomes necessary, then be sure to follow these guidelines. Do it at home, in private. Never do it in anger. You go calm down first then. Explain to the child, if they're old enough to understand, okay, that some point in time you're not going to do that. Good morning, sister. Good morning, girls. Okay? But you explain to them why what they did was wrong and why it requires a spanking. And like I say, you get a small enough, young enough child, okay, then that's where you need to have instantaneous obedience, because we're talking safety issues. Okay, spanking is only for deliberate disobedience. Right, Size?
Yep.
There you go. Amen. All right. Or for an action or a behavior that was so dangerous or so malicious that it warrants that action. Again, goal with really young children is an instantaneous obedience without question. That, like I said, often is for their safety. I'll use myself as an example. When I was in kindergarten, so we're going way back in the Wayback Machine. Many decades. Okay. We're out there waiting for the school bus to come to pick us up, and I'm typical kindergartner full of all kinds of incredible energy. The bus comes rolling into the schoolyard. I take off running. Okay. The teacher manages to snatch me by the collar of my shirt and wallops my backside. Now today that would have cost her job. Now she probably saved my life, or she was certainly trying to.
Yeah.
She called my mom. Guess what happened when I got home? I got walloped again. You know.
Don't run in front of a bus.
Yeah. There you go. You know. Okay. Good morning, sister. Okay. With children, no means no. Okay. Stop means stop. Right now. Okay, and do means to do immediately. No explanations necessary or required. Okay? Never use your hands. That's why it talks about the rod. We had a wooden spoon. That was just for that. Your hands are for loving, for comforting, for helping your children. Okay? Never strike the head, face, okay, body. That's what those big, fleshy bottom ends are for. Okay. Be appropriate with the number of swats. Okay. You don't have to do 40 stripes, save one. All right. You know, generally 3 or 4 is going to get the message across. And David Peacock recently talking about that. His dad was a big bear of a man. And he said, you know, that big giant hand. He said, 3 swats on my backside. I got the message. Now you're going to have to make the choice and the decision for biblical corporal punishment based upon what the scriptures plainly and clearly say, and your own good conscience. Like I say, we know what the Bible teaches plainly, just gave you the scriptures, but we're living in a world today where, okay, we got to remember though, the Lord included those verses in the Bible for a very good reason. And we need to believe them, and we need to trust them. Okay? Our children's well-being is indeed what is at issue. All right, we're going to stop there. We've been a little long this morning. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this morning's message? Yes, brother. Yes, we're going to be giving away rods at the back of the...
I'm just saying, the cops in fire department that have talked to Elijah are actually on the same page.
Yeah.
But,
Well, see, depending upon where you are, who you're dealing with, you might be fortunate and, have, but again, my own sister, her son decided to take advantage of the circumstances of what the laws were when he was a young teenager. Okay, and he never got well, probably should have got a lot of whooping, and made a complaint about threats from, made false accusations against his stepfather. Okay, and what do they call it here, Matt? DHS, or I don't know.
DCF.
DCF. There we go. Stepped in and split that family, destroyed. Now my sister and her husband, good godly people, living down in North Carolina. Their son Ryan, we have no idea where it is. He's 45, 46 years old. Last many years of his life, he's been living homeless on the street. Yeah. So, what are you going to do? All right, if there's nothing else, we're going to stop there for this morning.